good, fam? What's good? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Yes, I am your host for Tuesdays with Tawana, a place where we build community, one person, one story, one moment at a time. Yes, Tuesdays with Tawana. We broadcast on Facebook Live, on podcasts. Grateful for those who will join the podcast on later. So, those who listen to the podcast, you may hear me insert some stories and some people into this narrative because we're actually live right now. Yes, we are live and in person. So grateful to be here on this Tuesday. I just feel like singing, like Suge says in The Color Purple. Can't you feel a brand new day? Can't you feel a brand new day? Yeah. I'm feeling pretty good today, y'all. Pretty good, pretty good. And I'm feeling pretty good because this is episode number 25. Listen. Hey, mother. Good, great morning to you. Yes, this is episode 25. What up, Cordio in the building? Yes, Tuesdays with Tawana. So, this is episode 25 of my official Tuesdays with Tawana, where I would come to you live at 12 noon every Tuesday, and we would just talk. We'll talk about Cancer Cannot. We talk about domestic violence. We talk about life. We talk about community. We talk about humor. We talk about serious conversations. Hey, brother. Always good to see you showing off your guns on Facebook. I see you, brother. That's my big brother, y'all. He like this, Diesel. I started this 25 episodes ago, but what was the real catalyst behind this was when I was still living in Denver at the time, and some community members were planning a basketball game with law enforcement, and we protested against it because children can't differentiate when it's time to play and when it's time when their lives are on the line, right? So for us, it was sending the wrong message. Like there was some other relationship building that needed to happen before you start playing basketball with our young people in the community. Stop killing us. Stop putting your knee in our necks before we start playing basketball. My life is not a game. My life is to be valued. I am worth it. I am worthy. What's up, my beautiful niece? Tammy in the building. Hey, Mama Lovey. Yes, good morning from the Rockies. Yeah. Tammy, I love seeing you too, yo. What's up, my pink sister Jackie in the building? Oh, y'all are so beautiful. You know why I'm smiling so much? Because I missed y'all. Last week I had to do a recording. It was the first time that I did a recording, but I'm committed to this. I had to do a recording and it was so different. Like I love my community. I just love being in conversation and in dialogue and sharing and just loving on each other. We need more of that, right? Oh my goodness, we need more of that. So in the midst of needing more love and joy and community and just peace and hope, we have a new president. Now, let's just be in the moment. Yes, two white men went against each other or was vying for the same position. I get all that. I get it. And we have our first, not only woman, but first Black and Asian woman in the White House. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Let's give it up. Let's give her a little applause. Yes. I was talking with my brother the other day, and I was telling him how an awesome opportunity it is for him to be able to talk to his son and say, not only did he see the first Black president for 2 terms, but now in his lifetime, my brother's lifetime, he has now witnessed the first Black woman as vice president of these states. How amazing is that? So, now what? Right? Now what? Hey, Auntie! My Aunt Lorraine is on, y'all. She always makes me smile. I love when she can join. So, as we are celebrating, let's be in the moment. We talk about being in the moment a lot, right? Because sometimes we miss what's happening in the moment if we go too far ahead of ourselves or we stay stuck in the past. Right? We stay stuck on what has hurt us, what has demeaned us, what has degraded us, what has oppressed us. In this very moment, sometimes we got to learn to just embrace and just stay in the moment and do whatever necessary, whether it's celebrating, whether it's lamenting, whether it's in community and having dialogue with now what, right? Now what? Not all endings are endings. Some endings are beginnings, right? So now what? Now what do we do? As we usually parallel our situations, our personal plights and situations, whether it's a diagnosis or personal challenges, whatever it is, we parallel that to what's happening in our world, and being diagnosed with breast cancer, for some, and I'm sure for myself at some point in time, it was quite scary. It seemed like an ending because in our community, unfortunately, Black women are still dying at disproportionate rates than white women who are diagnosed, even though we are diagnosed at lesser rates. So it seemed at some point in time it was an ending, and then some of us have to make a decision to say, nah, I am going to make the best of this situation and I am going to move forward, come what may, and really pay attention to what's going around me that's giving me life. Pay attention to those things that's giving me hope. Pay attention to those who are speaking life into my situation. Pay attention to those things around me that others may not have an opportunity to witness or experience. So when we think about endings and beginnings, sometimes the ending is just the beginning, right? So my diagnosis was the beginning of living a new life, a different life, responding to things differently, really focusing on me and focusing on my health, where I hadn't always done that well. I hadn't always done that. I would put other people first and other people's needs first and forgetting my own, and then ended up paying a deep price for that. So that beginning is an opportunity, right? We talk about crisis as this dangerous opportunity. We have an opportunity to step out on faith. We have an opportunity to shift the narrative. We have an opportunity to use and know our divine power and our divine selves to shift what is going on and to make things happen so that we can live and not die at the hands of systemic ills in this society, right? So when we talk about this election, I celebrated. I shed tears. Is it perfect? Nope. Is anyone who was elected perfect? No. Am I perfect? Nope. Not at all. And we have an opportunity to shift a narrative. We watched Black women across this country galvanize and come together and vote to ensure that our voices were heard, were seen. Our presence was felt, right? And oftentimes, Audre Lorde talks about it when we allow others to impart their fantasies on us. We are eaten alive, right? We are crunched into their fantasies of us and then eaten alive. So many people said that Black women saved democracy, and I want to push back a little bit. Oh, hey, Lily! Oh my goodness! Mwah, 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 mwah. Good to see you, my family. Oh my goodness. I want to push back just a little bit because that might be someone else's take on the outside looking in. Hence, maybe, white people or those who are non-Black. But if you look at the voter guide that Soul to Soul put out under Let My People Vote, which is our voter engagement movement, our voter guide talked about when we cast a ballot, what does that mean for me? I didn't necessarily vote. Not 90%, Angela, you better say that. 90%. There is no question about where we stand in this country. 90%. So when I cast that ballot, it wasn't necessarily to save a democracy, saving my life. My life. The lives of my children and my grandson and my siblings and my beloveds. Because I don't want to have to die because someone's trying to take away my health care. I don't want to be houseless or unhoused because of some sort of predatory lending or interest rates or whatever. I don't want to die because people actually voted. White women, 57%, I believe, and y'all correct me on that number, of white women voted for state-sanctioned violence. They voted for keeping children in cages. They voted for tax breaks for the rich and higher taxes for the poor. They voted for disrespect and dehumanization and oppression and tyranny. They voted for these things. And we as Black women, we not only voted against those things, but we voted against those very things that kill us as a diaspora day in and day out. So I love you, Black women. I see you. I see you rising up. And no, we will not take on the mantle of saving. And as a result, we might save this country. But be very, very clear. Be very clear that we are here to do something that no one else has done for us before. Not white men, not white women, not Black men. We are standing up. And I'm talking general. I always got to add that caveat because I know my brothers got my back. I know that there are certain friends, allies, co-conspirators, comrades who are white people that got my back. So I'm talking in very general terms, like the 57% of white women who voted for Trump. Okay? And PW, who's calling on the angels of Africa now. Okay, anyway. Mama Lovey said white women don't want to lose their white privilege. Nothing else matters. Sometimes you got to lose to gain. So that means you don't want to gain anything for us. You're looking out for self. Clearly looking out for self. And here, Black women are looking out for one another. Because we have children, biological or otherwise. We have beloveds, we have siblings that we are looking out for. So when we cast that ballot, yeah, we can talk about the lesser of two evils and things of that nature, but we got to start somewhere. And now that we have inserted ourselves in a narrative in such a powerful way to shift the atmosphere, we are going to keep shifting. There is no stopping us. No stopping us. In the building, Brother Jeffard. Yes. Mwah. There's no stopping us. And the beauty, okay, it just gets more and more beautiful, right? So when I went to seminary, I was introduced to womanism, a lens, a methodology, a way of being, a way of showing up in the world, a way of loving, a way of living. And womanism is not only about centering women and decentering others. It is about centering women for all of us to get some, for all of us to be liberated, for all of us to be free, for all of us to be loved, for all of us to come together in community, for all of us to lift as we climb, for all of us to share in this Ubuntu, for all of us. That's what womanism is about, right? So we come together and we cast that ballot and we make our voices heard, not only for us, but for our communities that are constantly being ravaged. Oh, Chandel. What's up, Chandel? No stopping us. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Cordio said this is exactly what Black women did. We looked out for ourselves while looking out for the Black diaspora. General terms, because we know that there are some Black women and others that voted for Trump that are on his cabinet that sit in PW's congregation. We know that. I mean, that's been since the inception of slavery in this country, right? They would throw some money at some folk and our own people betrayed us. We get that. We get all that. But the majority, what we stand for, what is ingrained in us, what is a part of our essence, is who we are as a part of community, a shared and collective responsibility, a hope, a joy that is shared. So we did that thing and we came through. We came through to save our lives, not necessarily to save this country that was never lived up to this definition of America. When you get a chance, please read Langston Hughes' Let America Be America. Because there is a line in there, and I meant to pull it up and I forgot. And it says something about let America be what it has not yet, has not been yet, or has yet to be. So when we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, when we talk about unalienable rights to live, when we have to fight to remove the word slavery out of the Constitution, which Colorado did it, and I believe 3 or 4 other states did it in this country, when we have to fight now to remove the word savages out of our founding documents, referring to our beautiful indigenous First Nation beloveds. Those things were never designed for us, and now we have an opportunity to make that change. We will no longer ascribe to what America has shown itself to be. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. So now what, right? Now what? Now where do we go from here? What do we do? Right now, one, we enjoy the moment. We love on our beloveds. We make sure that we celebrate this moment because in some way, shape, or form, ironically, democracy worked for a moment. And there's still some things going on, right? It worked for a hot minute. And now we have an opportunity to come together and to make some policy change and to make some changes in our Congress and to make some changes, continue to do the work. Absolutely, Courtney. do the work internally and externally. Thank you for that, Courtney. There's some internal work that we need to do because it's like being in an abusive relationship, or unfortunately, people out in the street, when someone has power and control, they break you down and break you in, and you start to believe the lies, you start to believe the abuse, you start to believe that you're not worthy. You hear things like, oh, I only vote during the presidential election, I only vote for the president. And then you wonder why our jails are housed with black and brown beloveds at disproportionate numbers, because we didn't vote for those mayors who appoint sheriffs in certain areas, and we didn't vote for judges and remove judges off the bench. Although it's hard to vote to remove judges off the bench when their platform or their history or their record is never publicized. So you got to know who to talk to find out about the history of these judges. So it takes work. We got to do the work. We live in an America where voting really dictates how this country shows up to the world. When you have the world celebrating over our presidential elections, that speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. Because now we have an opportunity to insert humanity back into an inhumane system. And it's going to take dismantling the system. It's going to take the other 43% that didn't vote for Trump to step up and to dismantle the system. Let me give you an example. The now what, right? So when I was living in Denver, at the time, and it's still going on, just black and brown bodies being killed by the police, unarmed, black and brown, beautiful beloveds being killed by police, being pulled over for no reason and then shot and killed, or the use of ketamine, which I hear is no longer being used, but tell that to our slain beloved. So there was a huge meeting, a huge gathering with faith leaders and community leaders, the mayor of Denver, the sheriff of Denver, and the police chief, of Denver and Aurora. And my dear friend Amanda was invited to the table. She's a white woman, dear friend of mine. And I serve on the board for the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. So she says to me, Tawana, I would like you to go to this meeting in my stead. One, giving up that power. Two, making sure that a black woman speaks. Three, a black woman not only speaks, but inserts self into a narrative where she probably would not have been invited. Because remember, we just protested the police in the basketball game and all this other stuff was going on. So she gave up her seat. We need some more people to give up their seats. We need some more people to relinquish that power. We need some more people to relinquish that false power. We need some more people to dismantle these systems. What's up, Ilea? Love you, beloved. We need some more people to give up that seat. So when I sat at that seat, I felt compelled to speak. And when I stood up, I told the story of my daughter who was driving in her car. My grandson was a little younger at the time. He was in the back seat. And there was a police car with its lights on speeding up behind them. And they panicked, like trembling. And my grandson, I believe he was even brought to tears. But the police car went right by them. To live in that type of fear in a place that's supposed to be land of the free and home of the brave, a place where we are supposed to live with these unalienable rights to live. And she was shook. And I said, this is where we are living right now. This is the state, this is the city, this is the state, this is the nation that we are living in right now. And everyone was just silent. Because sometimes many times, oftentimes, we have to insert those real stories and real experiences so they're not ambiguous and out there somewhere. They're right here in your face. I'm telling you my story to get others or another to understand my plight and what I have to go through. Not so that you can feel sorry for me, but so that I can encourage you to dismantle these systems that are dehumanizing and that have been oppressive for over 400 years. So during this election, we inserted our voice into a narrative. And we didn't wait for anyone to give up their seat. We went out, we galvanized, we talked about the election, we talked about what does voting for this person mean for you. And it may not be so simple as life or death, but it is about life and death. Mind, body, and spirit, religious freedoms. The freedom to walk down the street and not have my beautiful skin color perceived as a threat. So now what? Yeah, we enjoy the moment because we're here and we're together and we're breathing and we're surviving. It ain't easy. Healing ain't easy. Living in this country ain't easy. And now the work begins. Now we begin to dismantle those negative, heinous messages that have been imparted and told to us time and time again. And now we begin to shift the narrative and we walk boldly. The beautiful, brilliant, divine beings that we are. And we come together with like-minded folk. Because it's going to be hard to trust. It's going to be hard to trust. If I don't have a relationship with you and you come to me and you say, yes, I'm here, let's do this work together, and you're a white person, I might give pause for a moment. Because 57% of y'all voted to keep babies in cages. But then a part of me, it's not necessarily what happens to me, but it's how I respond. So I got to continue to make sure that my voice is heard and insert myself into a narrative. So whether you voted for number 45 or not, in this very moment, my now what is to make sure that my voice is never silenced again. My being is never ignored again. My countenance is never, ever diminished again. I am never pushed aside again unless I am standing on the margins. Because there's power in the margins so that those margins disappear. And we can continue to be a country that has never yet to be. We have not lived up to these false founding documents. It's time for a change. Larry says the fact that we have matched and topped white voter participation and done that while going through voter suppression. We did that thing, y'all. Congratulations. I love y'all. Keep doing it. Keep doing your thing. Keep honoring yourself, honoring your voice, honoring your presence, honoring the divine in you. Because now, what? Now the work begins. locally, statewide, nationally, globally. We got COVID to deal with. We got climate change to deal with. We got state-sanctioned murders to deal with. We got babies we need to reunite with their families. We got immigration to deal with. We got xenophobia to deal with. And religious freedoms. We have minimum wage and the right to make a livable wage to deal with. And we have racism to deal with. And when we deal with the least of these, if you will, the ones that are most impacted by it, everybody gonna get free. Ilea says our fragility white came out in the step. Ilea, but I gotta have Ilea on one day because yeah, Ilea, let's talk, please. Because there's a story that she shared, and it's heartfelt. Fix an education system that we need to fix. So we have work to do, and let's come together and do it. And let's get the folk that don't vote in midterm elections and local elections. Let's get them to vote and empower them to vote. We can do this. We've done it. And we needed that. We needed that win. We needed that win. And we got it. So now we got to hold people accountable. Yeah. Thank y'all for joining. I love y'all to the moon and beyond. Y'all give me life. Y'all give me hope. I just feel the love just coming through your comments, through your presence, through watching. Thank you to those who will listen to this podcast later. And your charge is now what? We have work to do. Internally, externally, communally, nationally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Yeah. And Georgia, vote, vote, vote. There's things going on where you can still register, and we got to get homeboy out of there. So vote, 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 vote. This is Tawana, your host for Tuesdays with Tawana. I love y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank you for always just being present, being connected, for sharing, not just listening, but for sharing and engaging and building community one broadcast at a time. Can't you feel a brand new day? Can't you feel a brand new day? Had to do that. I went to a performing arts school, y'all. Y'all didn't know? Yes, I'm very talented. All right, listen, I'm out. Ilea, let's end with this. Ilea, perfect disruption of the day. The disruption is only an opportunity. Thank you always to everyone. Well said. I'm out. Harlem in the building, always. Later. Be blessed.